President Adama Barrow tested negative of COVID-19 after 2 weeks of self-isolation. The Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission suspends its public hearing amidst increase in COVID-19 cases. And Kenya resumes international flight operations as government eases COVID-19 restrictions. This and more coming on The World Today. Many thanks for joining us, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, the Office of the President has announced that President Adama Barrow has tested negative for the coronavirus. The Gambian leader was in a 2-week self-isolation since the Vice President was confirmed positive of the COVID-19. 3 cabinet ministers have also tested positive of the virus and have since been receiving treatment. According to a statement from the presidency, sample of the president was taken on Thursday, 30th July 2020, and the results came out last night, Monday, 3rd of August 2020. The office of the president seized the opportunity to wish all those infected speedy recoveries and pray for the departed soul to rest in eternal peace. Meanwhile, the mayor of Kanifing Municipal Council has tested positive of the COVID-19, according to a statement on the council's Facebook page. The mayor said the mayor is said to be in a good spirit and has since been placed in isolation. And from that, next we head to Egypt, because in an effort to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, Egyptian government has extended the operation hours for restaurants in the country amid the economic pressure on the sector. Restaurant owners didn't expect much difference in business despite the government's latest move to resuscitate the industry. Here's more details of that in this report.
The Su'i and Soda has been one of the fastest growing restaurants in Egypt. In 2019 alone, the 3-year-old domestic brand jumped from 5 to 12 branches. This year should have witnessed a spike in revenues. Instead, it has been curtailed by the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The full lockdown took place on March 25th. On March 26th, our sales were zero. We then saw a gradual increase. By April, we averaged 6% of our usual sales. In May, we reached 18%, and by June, it became 28%. If the core of our business was fast food, home delivery would represent 40 to 60% of the core sales. But the normal delivery percentage in the Southward dining sales is 14%.
Officially, 700,000 Egyptians work in cafes and restaurants. Experts estimate that figure to reach 2 million when informal labor is included. To ease the economic impact on this sector, the government increased their working hours from 10 in the evening to midnight, while maintaining a 50% restriction for occupancies.
I don't think these 2 extra hours will make a big difference in sales because the consumer behavior has changed. The lifestyle has changed. We used to start seeing flow of customers at 6 p.m. Now it's from 2. To bring the economy back to normal, life must go back to normal. Having regular working hours will reflect on when people will need a break or come to restaurants.
Going back to near normal operation hours will benefit employees whose salaries have been cut during the past months. Their income won't be the same though, as tips and bonuses are far lower than their norm. And while the impact of COVID-19 lasts, business owners have been trying to look for creative ways to keep their restaurants afloat.
We opened seasonal branches. We went to the North Coast to open a branch for few months to generate revenues and make use of our staff's workforce. The secret to success this year is to cut cost and to survive with our brand names. If this year ends rationally, I think in best cases, restaurants might lose 10 to 20% of their market value.
Investments in Egyptian cafes and restaurants were worth $13.5 billion in 2017.
The government restrictions are gradually getting lifted, but restaurants know it's going to be a long process for a full recovery. And the concern now is not about making profit, it's about surviving that period.
And from the report there in Cairo, Egypt, we come back home and report on the matters of the COVID-19 pandemic, because the Minister of Health announced on Monday that the country has 5 new COVID-19 related deaths, bringing the total number of casualties at 14 and the crude case fatality ratio of 2.1%. Here's more details of that in this report.
The Gambia has registered a record 5 new COVID-19 related deaths within a period of 4 days. The latest situation report issued by the Minister of Health stated the same report has it that a record 173 new cases were recorded within the same period. This brings the total number of confirmed cases to 671 and 14 COVID-19 related deaths since the first case was recorded the 17th of March 2020. This represents an average of 43 cases per day over the last 4 days. The situation report stated that there were 11 recoveries, bringing the number of recoveries to 79. It also stated that 11 others were taken into quarantine. The country currently has 529 people in quarantine with 571 active cases, 43 probable cases and a crude case fatality ratio of 2.1%. Few days after lifting the public emergency, the Gambia government has since imposed new regulations to stem the spread of the virus. Part of the new measures is mandatory wearing of face masks, temporary closure of non-essential public places, and the prohibition of public gatherings.
And from the report there, we will now take a short break and come back with the rest of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Debunking COVID-19 myths. Myth 1.
Gis nga yow yaa ngi reesa boobu max bi ak tàngoor bi nii man gis nga man ragaluma COVID-19 coronavirus mënul da téye nit ku ñuul.
déedéet boy coronavirus dina jàpp bépp xeet dina jàpp bépp der dina jàpp bépp réew te gis nañ lum fi def ci réew yu nekk Afrique ak lu ko wóor te Gambia ci la bokk COVID-19 lu am la yaa boo nga xam loolu.
Myth 2.
Suma chami. Ndax lekk laaj mën na laa aar ci feebari coronavirus bi?
déedéet laaj dara firndelu ko continuer ci sa raxasam loxo mi te nga joxe digganteeg seen nit yooyu jokkalanteel te nga toppa sarta yi nag yuñ ñu tegtal pour nga mun cee muccaaleel si sa njaboot yeeg sa dëkkandoor yeeg ak àdduna si yépp.
Myth 3.
Suma chami. Mbaa xam nga ne feebari coronavirus bi Gambia bokku parce que feebar bi mënu ta dunda ci réew yu tàngay.
Déet soxna coronavirus daal mën naa dundee fu ne waate mu tànga wara mu seega xoolal si suñu réew yi dëkkandoo bu ñuy def daal saa su ne neen raxas suñuy loxo mën na génne jàngoro bu nekk suñuy loxo te ñuy moytu laal suñuy bët ak suñuy loxo wara bakket wara gémmiñ.
Myth 4.
Waaw nijaay.
waaw
feebari coronavirus bi maa dégg rek.
waaw
feebari réewum tàngal.
ku la wax loolu
ñun waa def ji bokku foofu dara loolu feebari réewum tàngal.
déedéet yaa ngi nax sa bopp.
nijaay.
gis nga feebar bii dina jàpp ku nekk. am na ñun jàpp si yeneenu tund fii ci dëkk bi. feebar bi lu xam la de te ñëpp lay jàpp nag wasalaam.
Welcome back, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV. And now to the rest of the stories. Now, in the light of the growing seriousness of the COVID-19 situation in the Gambia, the TRRC Tuesday announced the suspension of the session focusing on the former President Jammeh's HIV and AIDS treatment until further notice. The Commission said it is deeply concerned with the safety of its staff and partners. Jultenjai Sware has more details of that in this report.
The Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission said on Tuesday that they are suspending their public hearings till further notice. The news came at a time when many were already tuned into television, radio and other channels to follow the hearings. This, they say, is because of the recent spike in the number of coronavirus cases in the Gambia. As of Monday, the country has 572 active cases of the virus, 14 deaths and 79 recoveries. The chairman of the TRRC, Dr. Lamin J. Cisse, said the decision came after careful consideration.
In the light of the growing seriousness of the COVID-19 situation in the Gambia, the Commission has decided to suspend its public hearings till further notice. The suspension will take effect immediately, so there will be no hearing today. The decision to suspend hearings was reached after careful consideration and consultations at the level of the Commission and between the Commission and the Ministry of Justice.
Dr. Cisse said even though the Commission is keen on completing its work and recommendations on time, they are conscious of the fact that continuing hearings may put the lives of Commissioners, staff and all other stakeholders at risk of COVID-19 infection. He was quick to say that work will continue at the TRRC.
During the period of this suspension of public hearings, the various committees of the Commission will continue working on their various agendas. The Commission will also continue working on putting together some aspects of the final report. This work has already started and will continue unabated. We are pleased to report that various mechanisms have been put in place and some modest progress is being made towards the completion, towards the compilation of the final report.
He said the Commission's Secretariat will remain partially open and the various units will remain operational with some staff coming to work on roster system. Chairman Cisse assured the public that the TRRC remains fully committed to delivering on all aspects of its mandate as soon as possible. He, however, took time to encourage people in the adherence of the WHO guidelines on preventive measures. The Truth-Seeking Commission is currently looking at the former President's HIV/AIDS and other disease alternative treatment program. For iAfrica News, I am Juldenjai Sware.
Yes, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission suspends its public hearings until further notice. And from that report there, finally we head to Kenya, because Kenya has resumed international flight operations after 4 months closure due to the impact of the COVID-19 global pandemic. The government shut down the airspace as part of measures to cope the spread of the virus in the country. Authorities have put in place strict health guidelines as part of safety measures for travelers. Here's more details of that in this report.
After more than 4 months of suspended operations in an attempt to control the spread of COVID-19, Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport resumed international flights Saturday as Kenya reopened its airspace. And it's hard to miss the new normal, as it's now referred to. The airport is littered with sanitation points, masks are now mandatory, social distancing guidelines are plastered on all surfaces, seats clearly spaced out, and security checks have been intensified. For passengers arriving into the country, A COVID certificate is mandatory.
COVID certificate on a test taken not earlier than 96 hours, before flight.
Those we spoke to traveling on KQ100 to London were satisfied with measures put in place.
I'm very satisfied, especially the way they are moving the lines.
I'm confident. I'm pretty sure that's going to be okay.
By midday, traffic was steadily increasing. But it's a national carrier, Kenya Airways, that is breathing a huge sigh of relief. The resumption of international flights is a huge boost for Kenya Airways. The airline lost hundreds of millions of dollars when Kenyan airspace was closed and will be hoping to make up for lost time.
Since late March, when we stopped flying, up to now, we have probably lost between around about $100 million. When we project to the end of the year, based on the demand that we see today, we will lose about $400 million of revenue.
The company's laid off more than 600 employees and says it will increase traffic according to demand. In the meantime, it says it's resumed flights to 30 destinations. The airline has however been barred from neighboring Tanzania after the country was included in a list of countries not allowed to travel to Kenya. Flights to China and the United States are expected to resume in October.
And that report there in Nairobi, Kenya, finally brings this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, you can also log on our website on africa.tv. Well, once again, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.